Hetepu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Kasank Keperu with another exciting video for you. All right, in this video, I want to talk about a very important subject, which is why you must master time and space. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live or when I upload pre-recorded videos. Also, we have free ebooks that you can download and start reading right away. They expand upon this subject matter and more. They get into the esoteric and the spiritual. So the links are in the description box. Just click on them and then your journey will begin. Lastly, you can become a Patreon supporter. And as a supporter for just $1 or $5 per month, you can cancel at any time. You'll get instructional videos, which will take you into a deep dive understanding of meditation, of creating a altar, how to do a proper ritual, proper breathing techniques, how to astral project, all that good stuff. Right now, we have the great I Ching Oracle classes going on. So you should take part in that. And again, that is on Patreon, and that link is in the description box. So let's get into this subject matter, which is why you must master time and space. Now, I didn't title this why you need to understand time and space, why it's important to learn about it, but rather I titled it why you must master it, because as a occultist, as a priest, one of the things that the I Ching, the great I Ching Oracle, told me is it said you have two paths in life. You can go the path where you can directly intervene into the direction of society, or you can withdraw and do your studies. Either one is acceptable. So what I started to see, well, let me take a step back. In the story of Asar and Aset, when Set set out to battle, when Haru set out to battle Set, one of the things that happened was it kept ending in a stalemate. And that there was one deity that Set did not bother with and stayed away from, which was Tehuti, or Thoth, or Hermes Trismegistus. And he was secluded in a mountain. And he was away from all the things that were going on in Kemet at the time. He didn't interact. He didn't bother with the direction it was going in. And at that time, Kemet was going through turmoil because Set was the ruler. He had killed Oser, and he was basically destroying the nation. So it was Haru who had to go and seek counsel from Tehuti, who gave him the wisdom and opened his third eye to be able to defeat Set. So in essence, when one starts to get on the path of spiritual elevation, you have an option, which is to become a sage and then continue your studies, whether here in the physical realm or in the ether. And some of us choose to get directly involved in what's going on, and then we reincarnate and become guides for others. But one of the things that I'm seeing that disturbs me is that we have a lot of individuals who out there who are very well-meaning, and they want to stop what's going on. But they are under the guise that in order to bring about a revolution, in order to bring about a change, there has to be a direct intervention. And this is where they're going wrong. You see, we have been set up to fall. This society is an illusion. It's not what we think it is. In fact, the space-time continuum has been disrupted. And what do I mean by that? Our history is not what we were taught in school. That history is a lie. But they have to feed that to you. They have to teach you that to keep you away from the real occult secrets, the real magic that governs how everything works in the universe. Because if you were to discover that magic, you could revert it back to the old space-time continuum and get the planet back on the path of Ma'at, truth, justice, and righteousness. So they can never reveal to you what really happened in ancient times, in antiquity. Well, I'm going to reveal that to you right here and now so that you can understand the true history of the planet. And it goes like this. The history of the planet, what we call was ancient culture, primitive culture, was really an advanced civilization. In fact, many civilizations across the planet were very, very advanced technologically and morally. I want to make that distinction. because morally, this society today is bankrupt. And technology is based upon left brain thinking, which may solve one problem but creates two or three problems in doing so. So civilization, ancient civilization, was very, very advanced. And in that way, what happened was a select group of individuals, call them the cabal, the ruling elite, the Illuminati, got together and decided to take control of the planet. And for them to do that, they had to take the occult secrets and the ancient knowledge and keep it for themselves, and to rid the planet of that knowledge. So they set out on a concerted effort to destroy the great library of Alexandria, to shut down our access to the Akashic records, to burn secret scrolls, to set out to commit mass genocide, to kill every people of color, of indigenous color on the planet who delve into occult sciences. Because if you let them live, they could revitalize that science, that technology. So they created entities, thought viruses, pendulums, spiritual entities that would go out there and create something called racism and sexism. And these spiritual entities would act autonomously to infect people and to get people to turn against anything that was considered traditional, ancient, old. And with that in mind, they set about to raid the temples, the ancient civilizations, to rape them of knowledge and wisdom, and to hide and covet that information for themselves, while trapping the planet in left brain thinking, meaning telling everyone on a planetary level that the only thing is real is what comes in through the five senses, sense perception. The only thing is real that is what can be measured, qualia. If it cannot be measured, then it's not real. And they indoctrinated even people of color into this ideology, to where the people of color would then act upon their own enslavement, to beg for their own enslavement. Thus, the planet became a prison planet, where souls will be reincarnated over and over again into left brain ideology, where spiritual elevation was considered pagan knowledge, pagan wisdom. And they created the three most popular religions, Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, to trap the planet and to keep the planet from exploring occult wisdom and knowledge, higher science, higher wisdom, higher knowledge. And when they arrested the development of the planet, they then began to institute their occult powers to shift the space-time continuum to another parallel world where we would live based on concrete thinking. And that they would be masters of the universe, rulers of time and space, while enslaving the planet and having the masses of the planet, 90%, to go along and unwillingly become slaves, servants of the ruling elite. And I'm going to further reveal to you how the details of how that came about. So as you see now, the planet in modern day society is under strict mind control. If you don't believe me, go look at the churches on Sunday and how they are packed with people to believe in a false God and a false ideology. an outside savior. When ancient culture told us, and this is the one common factor you'll find with every ancient culture of antiquity, is that you are your own savior. God is within you. But when you buy into concrete thinking, the the mind program of the ruling elite, you believe that your salvation lies outside of you. When our ancient ancestors in every culture on the planet told us that there is no outside world. This ruling elite was very diabolical in their efforts. They represented less than 1% of the population of the planet, yet they were able to imprison the entire planet by going throughout the planet, throughout the cultures of the indigenous people, and capturing the occult knowledge and wisdom of Atlantis, capturing the occult knowledge and wisdom of ancient Kemet, capturing the occult knowledge and wisdom of the ancient Chinese sages. But our ancient ancestors, in their wisdom, left secrets to their existence, left the science of their knowledge behind for us to follow. And those who will take the helm and lead and usher us into a new age have reincarnated to start the revolution, not through physical means, but through metaphysical means. These are our teachers. But our teachers are not in the forefront of the media. They're not in the universities. They're on the peripheral. And if we start to awaken and open our third eye, they will be revealed to us. Like Tahuti on the mountain, the ruling elite, the Illuminati, the Cabal, do not mess with them. But if you go and sit before the sage, you sit before Hermes Trismegistus, whose spirit still lives with us, you will be taught in the secret occult knowledge that will help to free the planet. This is why you must learn how to master time and space, because this ruling elite learned the secrets of time and space and were able to use that for their benefits to enslave the planet. They must be exposed. They must be dealt with. Because if we do not deal with these individuals, they will destroy the planet because they worship death and destruction. They feed off of that energy. This is not a choice. You must do this in order to save tomorrow, in order to provide a future for your children and their children's children. And it is not difficult what is asked upon you. And it is by no means a coincidence that you come upon my channel and the information that I present. You see, why I am different and why I don't have 100,000, 200,000 followers, because those other individuals in the so-called Hotep community, in the so-called spiritual community, are teaching bullshit. They're feeding you intellectual masturbation. They're feeding you left brain ideology. They don't practice the occult secrets. They don't invoke deities. They don't invoke spirits. They don't astral project. They may say they do, but the proof is in the pudding. They are charlatans, because the real practitioners, the real sorcerers, the real black magicians, the real sages are not proselytizing out there. They're hidden away. They say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I am not out there publicly in all of these new age conferences. I'm not out there making documentaries about myself, which is what you'll see many of these so-called practitioners doing. They make these documentaries and it's all about themselves. Why don't you make a documentary about the teachings? We don't need to know all about you. It's not about you. It's about saving the planet. We are living in an alternate space-time continuum that is not the real prime Earth. Prime Earth meaning prime, the original Earth that we should be on, that was headed to a very advanced future, one that was technologically advanced and morally advanced. We're living in an alternate reality, one among an infinite number of them that we have been shifted to by the ruling elite, and we should not be here. Because on this course, if we continue, we are headed to a dystopian future where George Orwell and August Huxley predicted. August Huxley was more on point because he talked about that the future would be where you would willingly go along with your own enslavement. You must understand that you are a very powerful being, and they know that, which is why they have destroyed the past, hidden it, shrouded it in a veil of secrecy, so that it takes a lot of work to get to the heart of it and understand what really happened in history. This whole thing about the linear development, about life began very primitive and developed through the years to a high civilization of where advancement technology is now where we find ourselves in, is a lie. It is a lie. They intervened in the space-time continuum and shifted the planet to an alternate reality, and they should not have done that. That was a violation of Ma'at. But here's the secret to that. They can do it because according to the law of the Ma'at and the Bible, if two or more agree, so shall it be. So they got together in concert and did a mass ritual, which put out an energy vibration, which shifted all of us to their world. But if we obey the law of Ma'at, which is the 100-monkey principle, we can shift back if we are all in agreement and in alignment, which we are not. Excuse me while I take a sip of vodka. Two women have done research into partly how this has occurred and how this has happened. Not directly so, but indirectly. Sheila Ostringer and Lynn Schroeder, in their book, Handbook of the Psychic Discoveries, researching Russian advanced knowledge. The psychic discoveries behind the Iron Curtain. Ostringer and Schroeder tore the lid off the psychic work being done in Russia and the Eastern European countries. And also their book, Super Learning. And also their book, Super Memory. What do all these books have in common? Right brain thinking, accessing the right brain to get to 5D level, 5 dimension, 5D. What I want to do is I want to break down how this process was done by the ruling elite so you can reverse engineer it. So you can start practicing it in your own life on a small scale, on a large scale, if so be it, if that's what you want, okay? So I want to delve into this. One of the most brilliant men who is able to dissect this information and put into practice lived in the 1940s, 50s by the name of Neville Goddard. And Neville knew that God resided within us and that God is Osir, as the ancient Kemetic people called him, and that you need to work on resurrecting God within you, resurrecting the power within you in order to change the world. But in order to change the world, you have to abide by Ma'at. And what I mean by that is not just live truth and righteousness, but you must be in agreement with all those working with you. There must be a consensus of agreement for it to happen. We will not be able to shift to a new parallel world, Earth Prime, or the original planet, an original space-time continuum that we should have been on without the consensus agreement from everyone. That is the law. That is the only way it can happen. So let me explain what the ruling elite did, and let me reveal their secret by telling you what they're doing now. You see, the way that they are able, well, let me just say this. Going back to those revolutionaries, uh, Kiki, the artist Powers, 49th hexagram, you're absolutely right, the I Ching. Namaste to you. Glad that you are up on your knowledge of the great oracle of the I Ching, the Book of Changes. That's one of my favorite hexagrams, 49th hexagram, revolution. Now, those who want to bring about this revolution and bring about this change must first understand that it must be done from an occult, spiritual basis or perspective. You will not win against the Illuminati or the cabal by playing their game. Einstein says you cannot solve a problem using the same mindset or level that created a problem. You cannot use left brain thinking to combat a left brain problem. You're only going to create more problems for yourself. So therefore, you have to take yourself out of the box. You have to have out of the box thinking. But in order for you to understand and do that, you must first understand what in totality what has gone on in the planet. And that's why these Hotepers and these other spiritual people who don't understand what's happening in history don't understand how to deal with the problem. And they're leading you in the wrong direction. But it's okay because they're teaching you feel good science and feel good occultism. You know, you're not going to get anywhere with what they're teaching you, but it's going to feel good. You are dealing with a small group of individuals who have mastered time and space. How do you fight somebody who can create situations and scenarios to their benefit? You can't beat them. You can't beat them. The minute you decide, well, I am going to take up arms in a type of coup d'etat to dethrone them, the minute that you get together with like-minded individuals to arm yourselves, they will merely shift to a new space-time continuum where suddenly you don't have armaments, you don't have weapons. They can do that very simply. They can then shift to a new space-time continuum where you're all fighting each other. They can then shift to a new space-time continuum where you don't have any comrades. Do you understand the advanced level of what you're dealing with here? You cannot defeat these people who control time and space. They can shift to different parallel worlds to rid you of everything that you have. There are individuals online who are still trying to figure out the Mandela effect. I'm like, dude, we're past trying to figure that out. You need to realize how to counteract it. I don't care who you vote for. They can shift us to a parallel world where whoever you vote for, I don't care how pious and altruistic they are, they'll shift to a parallel world where we'll get an evil person in the office. That's their power. Again, I use the analogy of fighting the Hydra. No matter how many times you cut the Hydra's head off, it just grows a new head. You can't win that way. They will continually shift to parallel worlds where you don't have a damn thing to fight them with. So now you must learn the occult secrets in order to counteract that. Stop trying to fight them on a physical level. You cannot beat them militarily. They have advanced weaponry and black ops that they've been working on, where they're working on high-tech lasers, transporter systems like Star Trek. They can shift to different dimensions. They can make you disappear. You can't fight that. But what you can do is perfect your own magic. And then you'll be playing on an equal playing field, magic against magic. You see, let me break down what they're doing. And I shouldn't be doing this, but you're all of my magi's, and I want to make sure that you guys are up to speed on what's going on the planet. You see, they work through different means. When I got into the occult, one of the things I saw was the movie Altered States, which for me blew the lid off what was going on, where the scientist got into a sensory deprivation chamber and he had shifted to different time. He went back to caveman, and then he went to the future, and then it was great. It won an Oscar for best special effects. You know. Now, there are two ways in which they keep us trapped in 3D or keep us trapped in the space-time continuum. And there are many space-time continuums, many, infinite number of them. And you can quantum shift to different ones, but they have trapped us into this one. One of the first ways that they do is through mass kidnappings. So they'll kidnap certain demographics. They'll go out there and they'll kidnap all males. They'll kidnap all females. They'll kidnap all blacks, all whites. They'll kidnap, like for example, all white males who are into Christianity or into the occult. They have their demographics. They'll kidnap them. And then what they will do with them is they will put them through emotional shock. They'll shock their spirit, their system. So, for example, they may kidnap, let's say, for example, 5,000 males. And what they'll do is they'll put them through some type of shock to shock their system. And then when they shock their system, they will feed them thoughts and images. Now, those males may be from 18 to 20, let's just say, for example. And when they're feeding them that information, through the law of Ma'at and the 100 monkey syndrome, which says that we are all connected on a psychic level, we're all connected spiritually. It means what happens to me can happen to someone else living in Australia, down under, miles, hundreds of miles away, and it will affect me. You see, quantum mechanics did studies where they know that if you take an atom and you do experiments with that atom, another atom at a great distance away will exhibit the same response as if they were connected. So Ma'at says that everything is interdependent and interrelated. The 100 monkey syndrome says that whatever is you do, you are affecting others in kind. So when they kidnap these individuals in this age range and in this demographic, and they put their systems through shock and they feed them information, it causes these individuals' psyche to shift to a parallel world. And in causing these 5,000 individuals to shift their psychic to a parallel world, it affects all men of that age range in that culture. And that demographic suddenly shifts to a different space-time continuum. And these are what the things that they're doing. And they may do it to all, for example, Black women. They'll capture all Black women and they'll put their systems through shock. And they'll feed them information like, you hate your man, hate Black men. And then that will shift these women's psyche to a different reality. And then it will affect women, Black women of that age range and demographic on the entire planet. Because they know our psyches are linked and connected. What happens to one happens to all. Because thoughts are transferable. State transfers. That is one way that they do it, which is why in ancient antiquity, you'll see that in most cultures, in fact, 99.9% of cultures on the planet that were of color, they all had one thing in common: full moon mass rituals. Those full moon mass rituals were designed to influence the population, to shift them vibrationally to the right space-time continuum so that society in general would prosper. This is why in certain society there were sacrifices, because through the sacrifices of this individual, it would then shock their systems and influence all individuals to come into an alignment. So I would give up my life so that the rest of the population could shift to the right space-time continuum to live a prosperous future. So I would say, take my life, but in doing so, you will shock my spirit in such a way that it will shift me to the right parallel world that you want us all to go into. And through ma'at, giving, seeking nothing in return, I give up my life so that the community as a whole can be prosperous in the future. If we found a tribe, the village was going through famine, that I would do a sacrifice. It may be sacrificing a virgin, a female, it may be sacrificing a male, what have you, because the oracles will tell you what you need to sacrifice. You go to the oracle first, go to God, and get an agreement with that individual. You know, the oracle says we need a virgin, and you go to a young girl, would you culturally do this? Give up your life. And the reason why we're able to do this because we were indoctrinated into the right framework, where we knew that the physical body was nothing. You can give up the physical body, you would be reincarnated. And we would say, listen, you give up your physical body, you sacrifice it so that we can shift vibrationally to a prosperous future, but knowing that you will be reincarnated as a king, as a queen in your next life. You would be rewarded for your sacrifice. This is why our society and our culture of antiquity was so different than Western culture. Whereas Western culture based on left brain thinking is about individuality. No, it's all about me. It's all about selfishness. Gordon Gekko in Wall Street, greed is good. No, the welfare of the whole is good. Spock, Star Trek 2, where he talked about the rights of the many outweigh those of the few or the one, or the good of the many outweigh those of the few or the one. Because Ma'at is the whole, looking at the whole and say, what is just, what is right for the whole? And that we lived in such a way where we lived not on left brain concrete thinking, but on right brain abstract thinking, where we knew you were brought up in a society that constantly reinforced the idea that you are consciousness. You are an infinite being. You have no beginning and you will have no end. You will live forever. You transcended the flesh. You are not the flesh. So giving up the physical life means nothing to you. And when you have a people, a society who are based on that, you cannot defeat them. You cannot defeat them, which is why ancient Kemet, Egypt, had such a long reign. In the book, The Tale of Two Cities, what did he say before he died? That he was about to be assassinated. I shouldn't say assassinated, but killed on the guillotine, was it? It was the best of times and it was the worst of times. Being at peace with his own death and his own demise. It was the best of times and it was the worst of times. That's the duality of the Ma'ati. Ma'ati is the two truths. M-A-A-T-I, Ma'ati. You see, When you operate from the left brain perspective of Sebek, it's either right or wrong. It's one or the other. They both can't be true. But in Kemet, we understood Ma'ati, learning to live with contradictions as complementary aspects. This is why the ruling elite, the cabal, the Illuminati, operates on left brain thinking, because they cannot fathom a world where you have both black and white people. So they say we must eliminate black people, get rid of these people. And they're not doing it based on color. Get it straight. Don't get that twisted. This is not about race, color, and perspective. They are not that superficial. They are very smart. It's not about race with them. This is why these people that run along and talk about white supremacy, talk about it's all about color, the white man hate us, you're stupid and you're on the wrong path. It is about power. They understand who had the power. Who had the power? Indigenous people of color back in antiquity. It's not just about, oh, you're black, so we must get rid of you. No, it's about you. You people held occult science and occult knowledge. And we can't allow that to get to the masses of the population, because the masses of the population would do away with us if they came into this knowledge and wisdom. So we have to get rid of those people who are the progenitors of that knowledge. And it's not based upon color. It's based upon who were the ones that were first here, who were able to unveil or to create this occult secret. You can't really create anything, so because everything is created, but you were the first ones to practice this knowledge. So we must get rid of you so we can imprison the planet and take control. This is not about external approach. This is not about phenotype. Now, the other way that the ruling elite does this is through mass rituals, where they bring about their covenant and they do these rituals to steer the planet in a certain direction. And they have revealed themselves when Hitler started doing his Third Reich rituals, where he was burning the swastika, which originally was a very positive occult symbol, which he then manipulated it into a negative symbol, which penetrated the psyche of those in the Third Reich and shifted them vibrationally to a new space-time continuum where Germany would be a world leader, but he failed in his attempt. He was almost there, but he failed. But he was never meant to succeed, because the true power would have need to be hidden and not to be exposed like that. He was too much in the forefront. And really, it was the United States that was behind some of this. And we couldn't allow the United States to be known as one of the architects of this. So Germany had to be set up as the ones that were the evil ones that were doing this, when in reality, the puppet masters were the United States. And through Operation Paperclip, when Germany fell, we and the Vatican took in their scientists and gave them asylum. And we said to them, welcome home. Now get to work. And one of the first things that we did was we faked the moon landing. And I can go into that later. Now, we know that it's done by two means by the ruling elite, by these kidnappings, which happen all the time. That I was working with a scholar who wanted me to do research. So I was calling around to the police departments, the different organizations saying, can you give me your list of those who have disappeared, who've been kidnapping? Oh, I'm sorry, we don't keep a list. I'm like, what do you mean you don't keep a list? You don't keep a list of disappearances? That's crazy. You have to. Well, do you have any list at all according to demographics, race, age, gender? Oh, sorry, no, we don't. Well, how do you find them then? How do you locate them then? Lies that they were telling. And I couldn't get any information. Now, one of the brilliant things about this scholar that I mentioned, Neville Goddard, do the research on him, lived back in the 40s, 50s. What I loved about him was whenever he encountered an obstruction, he knew how to deal with the obstruction. He knew that the obstruction was just one possibility of an infinite number of possibilities in the matrix. And that modern quantum mechanics tells us that when you observe the field of information, it collapses. There's a quantum collapse into one among many of an infinite number of possibilities. So Neville Goddard, when he would encounter an obstruction, would then ignore the obstruction and activate the power within him through his imagination and through his emotions to see the outcome that would benefit him. And he gave one examples where he went to the show to see Aita, and he took his two brothers, but they were all sold out of tickets. And he imagined himself getting tickets for his brother. And then when he got to the ticket window, he confidently told them, I want 2 tickets to the show. And even though they were all sold out, the woman pulled out from a special envelope of VIP and gave him 2 tickets. It's more to the story than that, but he used the power within him to activate that. He used the power within him to get out of the military service. He says, I don't agree with this war, and he was drafted. He says, I want out. And instead of like writing, petitioning, he sat down and he envisioned through meditation and through reflection the outcome that he wanted. And lo and behold, he got called to his superior officer, and the superior officer said, you're discharged. You're getting an honorable discharge. You're getting out of here. But we see this occult knowledge as bullshit because we're told in this corrupt Western society that these things aren't real. They're only real under the guise of Christianity, Catholicism, and Islam. So what I'm saying to you is that you must master time and space if you want to live a happy and prosperous life. You must master time and space if you want to get this planet on the right track. Whether you are a revolutionary or just an individual who wants a prosperous life for yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. You can say, listen, I don't want to get into any like conflicts, or I don't want to like rock the boat. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I just want to have some money for me and my family and live a good life. Nothing wrong with that. But in order to do that, you got to start looking at non-traditional ways. You have to start seeking out new means and methods to bring that about, because the system is hell bent on keeping you oppressed, keeping you mad, insane, keeping you in the rat race. Let me say hi to the Magi's here real quick. Carrie Basie, Hatepu, Strong Mind, Strong Body Fitness, Namaste, Kiki the Artist, Haroon Nefer, Color of Dreams, Namaste, Majestic Creator. Oh, love that. Etep. What else do we have? Who else do we have in here today? Diana the Lion, Namaste. Septuma, Hetep. So this Avatar movie was close to what Earth culture was like before the occult. And someone literally cut us from our ancestry roots. Our old cultures are still saved in nature, plants. Absolutely right. You are absolutely right. That movie Avatar kind of really told what really, because we could communicate with the plants. We were in tune with the planet. It was deep. Miranda Hatepu. So I want you to think about this, not in terms of, you know, being at peace and meditating. I mean, if you want to do that, that's good. But you have powers you have not accessed. And you can choose to ignore those powers within you, not develop them, not grow them. But understanding that the ruling elite, the cabal, they are perfecting their powers all of the time. And that if you are a revolutionary and you want to take them on, you cannot do so by physical means. You're going to have to start honing your power. Shikana, Mystery, Hetep, welcome. You're going to have to bridge that gap between the physical and the metaphysical. You're going to need both. You can't rely solely on the metaphysical. You're going to have to do the physical work as well. And I'm not saying that when you start doing this stuff, you're going to have 100% life that is just peace and prosperous. No, you're still going to have challenges. There's no doubt about that. There's no way you can get around that, because you were sent here by Netta Nebetur, source, to live out a certain theme, a certain destiny. And with that theme and destiny are going to be obstructions and hardships, but they are only there to help you grow. I just very recently came into the wisdom and knowledge of why I'm living here in this certain time and period. Because I said, this is a struggle. This is hard, even for my person. And then I realized, I said, God darn it, I just realized what's going on. The reason why these difficulties, these hardships are hitting me is to push me to become even stronger as a magi. You see, if I go to the gym and I'm just lifting 50 pounds all the time, that doesn't do anything. So someone comes along secretly and takes off the 50 and put 100 on there. And they're saying, now try and lift that. And then they pull off the 100 and put 150. And then I'm crying, oh, it hurts. And I'm sweating, oh, it hurts. But it has to. It has to. Because if I don't do that, I don't grow. I don't become a more powerful magi. If I'm just sitting there going, oh, peace, love, I wish everybody well, that does nothing. That does nothing. I mean, it helps to a small degree, but eventually you got to get out there and kick ass. You know what I mean? You get out there and start pushing yourself, because if you don't, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to do what we call as plateau. You're going to get to a certain level and you're not going to grow beyond that. And because you're living in an intelligent, dynamic, energetic universe, it's conscious. It is aware. And if you're not growing and you're not doing things to grow, it's going to push you to grow by putting obstacles in your path, by putting obstructions in your path. It's going to do it for you. As a reminder, all right, you need to start moving. You're not challenging yourself. If you're a chess player, what good is it to play chess with people who are not on your level? You need to play chess against other advanced chess players, master chess players, to get you good. This is why the martial arts system, you fight people who are better than you and you get your butt kicked all the time. It hurts going back to your locker room, sitting there in constant pain and with broken bones, but there will become a point where they won't be kicking your butt and you'll be kicking their butt, because you'll be getting better. Because we call that calibration. You will self-calibrate. You will become better. But we have a habit of just sitting back and thinking that things will right themselves. Oh, it'll work it out in the end. No, it won't work it out in the end. No, it won't. It'll just get worse. Because these people, as the I Ching tells us, who are in control of the planet, are confirmed wrongdoers. The 21st hexagram, confirmed wrongdoers, meaning that there's no redemption for them. They're not going to stop unless severe punishment is put against them. They are doing something wrong, and they will continue to do it until there's an outside intervening force which stops them and punishes them. And that's you, the God man and God woman within you. Don't wait for the second coming, Jesus, whatever, Muhammad, Krishna. That's not going to happen. That's a metaphoric story for you resurrecting the God within you, the Christ consciousness. That's not a physical thing that's going to happen. These dumbass Christians, and I call them that because they are in violation of Ma'at, only go to church, only practice their religion of Christianity because they want to feel better than everybody else. They want to see themselves higher than everybody else. God is no respecter of persons. I have great power as a magi, but I am no better than you. I put my pants on one leg at a time. I am cut from the same cloth as you. I deal with the same problems as you. I have a cable bill. I have a car payment. I need to work. I am no better than you. I can manifest things better than you, but it doesn't make me better than you as a person intrinsically, because we're the same person. We are consciousness. And the ruling elite is no better than you. They are sick, they're perverted. And trust me, these individuals you don't want to mess with because they can take your soul and trap your soul into a dimension of evil and torment and pain. They know how to pull your soul from your body. That's how much advanced knowledge they possess. You think getting tortured by them would be horrible? No, they can torture your spirit, your soul. They know all kinds of occult practices to do that. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to give you the gravity of the situation, trying to give you some knowledge on what you're dealing with. Akeem, Hetepu, welcome. Be careful. This is why you must always base what you are doing in ma'at, living truth. Because even they have made an agreement that they will be in control. Yes, that's right. They made the agreement that they can be in control so that you can learn to become a master magician, a master sorcerer, a sorcerer supreme. See, they serve a purpose in this space-time continuum. They serve a purpose. And that purpose is to help you to become master of time and space. This is Kasak Ma'at Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next broadcast, Amun Ra.